I'm a Michigan constitutional crusader, rising up when the world goes cold. No badge can break me, no chains can take me. Truth in my veins, a fire them bold. To fire them bold.
All right, guys. So I'm out here in front of the Mount Zion Church on Mabee Road here in Oakland County. And on 10/17/2024 at 3:10 p.m., a sheriff's deputy in an unmarked sheriff's vehicle was found in his car, passed out right here against this curb. His front wheel was up on top of this curb, and his back wheel was right about here, pressed up against the curb.
October 17, 2024, 15:10:17.
Oakland County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Well, I'm actually on the side of the road, I guess it's 4900, where the Mount Zion Church is in Independence Township.
Okay, what's going on there?
I work for the township, and we were driving by, and I noticed a black Suburban vehicle parked on the side, like kind of off the side of the road. And there's somebody in it that looks unconscious. We drove by, and we kind of saw him slumped over, and we came back. And so we pulled over, and I'm sitting here, and I'm knocking on the door, and the person inside is not responding.
Okay, and this is is this on Mabee or on Clintonville there?
We're on Mabee. It's like right at 4900 entrance of the Mount Zion Church, the second entrance to Mount Zion on Mabee.
On the side of the road?
Yeah, like just kind of like pulled over, like one wheel's up on the curb, and the car's on.
Okay, is this a male, female?
A male.
Over the wheel or leaning back?
He's kind of like to the side by the window. So like when I'm knocking on the window there, it's right by where his head is. I can give you his license plate number if that would help. I mean, I don't know if that'll help. Oh, he's moved. Oh,
okay.
He must just be sleeping.
Hey.
Well, he's definitely moved. It seems like he couldn't keep his head up. And it didn't acknowledge me at all. But it looks like it might be an emergency vehicle. It's got lights, right?
Yeah.
In the back.
Huh. Let's see. What type of vehicle did you say it was? A black?
It's a black, I guess, Chevy Suburban?
Okay.
Tahoe, maybe? It doesn't have any, like, it doesn't have that on there, like what it is, the make. But it's definitely Chevy.
What is the plate on the vehicle?
Oops, I'm going back to the back. It starts with an EGY 6249.
Okay. All right. And your name?
Gregory, or Greg. Last name is Babb, B-A-B-B, like boy, apple, boy, boy.
Is there a good number we could reach out? I will get someone right over there to check on him.
Okay, should we stick around, or should we go?
Up to you.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, bye.
Now, the deputy that responded, the first officer on the scene, Deputy Curtis, immediately turned her body camera off once she realized who it was.
I think it's going to be, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's going to be. You good?
Yeah.
You okay? Yeah, let's turn the car off. what's going on.
And then the next officer that showed up, she immediately told him to shut off his body cam and his dash cam.
Cut your cams for a minute.
So the cover-up on this story started immediately. And through FOIA requests that a friend of mine got, we have all the information we need. This was a pretty crazy thing that happened, and they tried to bury it because it was never on the news. And you'd think when the deputy is super drunk, driving a vehicle, that they would want to let everyone know what happened. His blood draw was a .341. And he was out here in the car up against that curb over there, passed out. The 911 call was made by a township employee that noticed him slumped over the wheel and pulled in here and was beating on the window trying to get him to wake, and he was unresponsive. And then he did finally stir a little bit, but he didn't actually wake up. And then when the deputy got here, she woke him up. And after she shut her body camera off, because they didn't want the public to see what was going on, she removed him from the vehicle and took his vehicle over here into this parking lot. I'll show you the parking lot. Over there in that parking lot where the people driving by aren't going to be able to see. And they conducted their investigation behind all this foliage so nobody could see what's actually going on. They didn't want people to know what's really happening here. But I'll get into that more in the video I'm going to create at home. For now, we'll see you in the main video. Okay, y'all. So I'm going to start this segment of the video, and we're going to look at page 8 of the report, because for some reason, it's all the way on page 8 where the first officer that was on scene,
I think it's gonna
Deputy
be, I don't know.
Curtis,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
that's where her little bit of a report is located. So it starts out with, on 10/17/2024 at approximately
You okay?
3:10 p.m.,
Yeah, let's turn the car
Deputy
on.
Hyde and I, Deputy Curtis, of course, were dispatched to the Navy and Morgan
going
Lake
on?
Drive in front of Mount Zion Church in Independent Township for a welfare check. The dispatcher advised that the complainant stated there was a black SUV with emergency lights and the driver was slumped over the wheel. The complainant advised that the driver raised his head while they attempted to contact him, but he put his head back down. And then we're going to go with her observations. I observed a black SUV on the side of the road near the east entrance of Mount Zion Church, parallel with traffic. While I was walking to the vehicle, the complainants were on scene and stated that the subject was still in the vehicle and it was running. Then the next category is contact with the video. I approached the vehicle. I approached the driver's side of the vehicle and observed the subject slumped towards the center console. I recognized the subject as, and they blanked it out, but it's Darren Ofiara is his name. He's an executive, well, he was, anyways, an executive lieutenant for the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. Okay, I recognize the subject as, and opened the door to the vehicle. I asked Darren if he recognized me, and he stated he did. I asked Darren if he was okay or needed medical attention. He advised me he was okay. I believed another blacked out spot, which I'm sure it just says Darren O'Fiera. And then the next sentence is, I turned off my BWC at this time under the impression the situation was completed. Now, you listen to her body cam, and you can tell by the way he responds that he is fucking wasted. How she can lie on this report and say that she was under the impression the situation was completed is freaking ludicrous. Next sentence.
Yeah, let's turn the car
I
off.
turned off the SUV and took the keys out of the ignition. See, there's her admitting that she knew he
What's
was
going on?
wasted. So she turned it off and took the keys out. At that time, Deputy Hyde arrived on scene, and I briefed Deputy Hyde of the situation and stated that BWCs were not needed. I put Darren in the passenger seat of my patrol vehicle and moved his SUV into a parking spot in the Mount Zion Church. While I was moving the SUV, Deputy Hyde contacted Sergeant Bowie, per Darren's request. We moved our patrol vehicles near his parked SUV to await Sergeant Bowie's arrival. After command arrived on scene, we were instructed to leave the scene. Now, you have to remember this. When they moved that SUV to the Mount Zion Church parking lot, they moved it all the way to the back parking lot. And on Bowie's body cam, when he turns around, you can see that they're way back off the road because they knew what was happening and they were starting this cover-up from the moment Curtis realized who it was in that vehicle. That's the sad truth of this. So that's the end of her statement, okay? So now we're going to pull it over to, what the heck was his name? Hyde? Yeah, Hyde. We'll get his statement of record here. Sorry, I'm flipping through the pages to find it. Come on, man. Okay, here it is. Okay. On 10/17/2024, Deputy Hyde was dispatched to the area of Mabee and Clintonville for a welfare check on a vehicle. Now, when he was dispatched, he went lights and sirens to the scene. And I've got his dash cam video from the time he left the office to the time he got there. And it's approximately, I think, 12 minutes of him speeding lights and siren for this drunk sheriff's deputy. So this super drunk sheriff's deputy, Darren O'Fiera, put so many people in imminent danger because of his drunkenness behind the wheel that it's ridiculous. Because you have to understand that every cop that went to that scene, lights and siren and speeding, put people's lives in jeopardy. Okay? Not just the deputy that was driving drunk, but everyone that went lights and sirens and speeding to get to that scene, to cover it up. Okay. Back to this. Upon arriving, I observed Deputy Curtis out with the vehicle by the driver's door. The vehicle was parked on the side of the road, but the entryway to Mount Zion Church. So it was kind of blocking the entryway to the church, but not the entryway, the exit. Okay, let's get it right here. The right front tire was up in the grass, and the right rear tire was up against the curb. And I believe you can hear Curtis put the vehicle in park when she reaches in the vehicle before she shuts her body cam off. I can't say for certain, but it sure as hell sounds like she puts it in park and then hits the power button. Okay, so blah, blah. Deputy Curtis then advised me it was Darren Ofiera. At this time, I approached the vehicle and asked if he was okay, and he advised he was okay. Okay, so in his statement, he doesn't state that he immediately shut off his body cam and all three of the dash cameras going. He's got a rear facing, a panoramic view, and a straightforward view. And he shut the entire system down at the same time he shut his body camera off to help cover this up. Okay. Deputy Curtis had Darren exit the vehicle and put him in her patrol vehicle. Okay, now this is another thing that pisses me off. You know, that just because this guy is a law enforcement officer, you're going to treat him with kid gloves. And you never see a pair of handcuffs go on this man. He broke the law. He was super drunk. He should have been in handcuffs behind his back in the back seat of the patrol car like any other person would have been. He should not get preferential treatment because he's a law enforcement officer. If anything, they should be treated worse. They should be sentenced to more hard time than the average person because they are the law enforcement officers. I mean, come on, it's common sense. They're supposed to know the law. They're supposed to protect our rights. They're supposed to enforce the law. So when they violate the same laws that they're supposed to enforce, they should pay a higher penalty. It's just logical. These judges need to stop putting the kid gloves on with these law enforcement officers and spank the shit out of them. Make an example of them so the rest of the damn law enforcement officers will stop thinking it's okay to break the law. Okay, back to this. Sorry I keep getting sidetracked because this really pisses me off. Okay, so Deputy Curtis reparked his vehicle into the Mount Zion parking lot. Darren asked for me to call Sergeant Bodie and so he could speak with him. I contacted Sergeant Bowie and advised him. Deputy Curtis also advised me she called Sergeant Bowie right after I arrived on scene. Deputy Curtis and I then parked our patrol vehicles in the Mount Zion parking lot, and I already read this shit, damn it, and waited for Sergeant Bowie to arrive. Once Sergeant Bowie arrived, he advised I was clear to leave. Yeah. So, I mean, it started out with a cover-up right from the start. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. All right. Okay, now we're going to talk about Bowie's report here. It says he was monitoring 911 when he heard a 911 call come for a welfare check on Maybe Road. Caller said a black Tahoe was pulled over on the side of the road. The male driver was slumped over, leaning against the window, and he appears to be asleep. The caller stated he was unable to wake the driver. The caller then said the Tahoe had emergency lights in the back window, and he believed the driver may be a member of the sheriff's office. So I responded to the call. While I was responding, I was notified by Deputy Hyde that the driver was Darren Ofieri. I have no idea if I'm saying that right or not. I apologize if I'm not. Anyways, upon his arrival, Deputy Curtis was standing next to Darren, who was sitting on the rear bumper of his vehicle. Deputy Hyde was standing near his patrol vehicle. I made initial contact with Curtis. Deputy Curtis told me the Tahoe was on the side of the maybe road in park with the keys to the ignition and the engine running. Deputy Curtis told me that she moved the Tahoe into the parking lot to get it out of the flow of traffic. You can clearly see the Tahoe was not in the flow of traffic. She is lying in the report. She is lying to her boss, the sergeant, to cover for this man who is drunker than shit. See, it says, I went to speak with Sergeant Kramer, who was on scene prior to my arrival. Sergeant Kramer told me that he had notified the patrol services lieutenant and captain and that they were both en route to the scene. Captain Wilson and Lieutenant Spencer arrived on scene shortly thereafter. And then contact with Darren Ofieri. I began talking to Darren, asking him what was going on. Darren was very apologetic. While talking to Darren, I noticed that his eyes were very bloodshot and glassy. I could smell a strong odor of intoxicant coming from his person as we spoke. I asked Darren to take a preliminary breath test, to which he complied, and the results were 2.294 at 4:15 p.m. Darren was advised that he was under arrest for operating while intoxicated and was searched and secured in the back of my patrol car. He was not secured. He was never put in handcuffs. Stop playing with the kid gloves. They break the law. They get the same penalties as everybody else, but they should get more. Okay. Darren's vehicle was picked up at the scene by Detective Sergeant Howden and driven to 57 West. In the inventory search, Lieutenant Spencer located 2 1.75 liter bottles. That's basically 2 half-gallon bottles of Kirkland American vodka found in the rear seat of the Tahoe. One of the bottles was unopened. The other bottle was opened and almost empty. The bottles of vodka were turned over to me. Pictures of the vodka bottles are attached to this report. Action taken. I transported Darren to McLaren Clarkston for a blood draw. Captain Wilson accompanied me at McLaren. I read Darren his chemical test rights upon the approval of DI-177 form. Darren agreed to the blood draw and signed the form, saying that he understood his right. The blood draw was done by R.N. Kelly Kastorf. The draw site was sanitized using the supplied iodine swab from the blood kit. First tube was drawn at 17:13 hours. The second tube was also drawn at 17:13 hours. The tubes and kit were signed and initialed by the RN. Blah, blah, blah. And the results of that blood test were 0.341. That is super, super drunk. Anyways, I'm going to include a picture of the vodka bottles so you know I'm not BSing on that. And then we'll get into the court case and what happened there.